unapologetic atheist interracial couple's progressive response to the fucking internet.
I don't even know what is Kristen Cinema's style.
She gives me okay, so she gives me honestly like adult Angelica energy from Rugrats.
From Rugrats.
I can't. I don't know what. I think it was his most recent stunt where she's like looking all scared while touching on, I can't remember that senator's name's arm, and she has on this like super. It all screamed Angelica.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I saw that. My first thought was, like an 8-year-old that found her mom's like clothes bin in the attic, and all the clothes are from the 80s. That's
Yeah.
what it looks like to me. Like she's got the big beads. But the big beads, like, doesn't Angelica
Excuse me,
wear beads?
That's her statement necklace. Those are statement necklaces. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Statement necklaces. Sir.
I bet you gotta wonder, like, when she was creating her style, if it was at that point that she went into the DMV and was like, "Can you swap out the I for a Y, please?"
Get her first name.
Like, change the name to what? And you're like, no, just swap out the I for a Y.
Even your name is too much. Like, that's not fair.
Don't
Don't blame her for what her mom did. That's not fair.
Her mom didn't do that. She did that. She did that.
That has to be the biggest insults. Like, I feel you're the type of person to actually go and change your name.
From
the
one
spelling
letter.
Of your name. Just like one letter. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unapologetics, the unapologetic progressive skeptic's response to the fucking internet. I am Brently.
And I'm Nikki.
And, yeah.
We here. Happy summer, folks.
Yeah. Hope it's been going well.
Yeah, it feels like it's been ages. We're doing an OG episode.
Mm-hmm. Old school style.
Yeah. In the middle of summer. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know what's going on, but it's hot still, but it's just not as hot.
No, it's not too bad. It's doable.
Yes.
It's have funnable. Like, if you want to go out and have fun, that's possible. So
yes.
have funnable.
Of course, it always weirds me out because it's like, oh, does that mean we're heading for just
a really cold summer or winter?
Yes. Like an actual, we may need to, wear long johns.
Yeah.
Like, you may actually need to start wearing undershirt, kind of.
Yeah. Get those extra heaters to bring into the room.
Yeah. Like heated blankets and shit.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Why are we making fun of people who live in terribly cold climates?
I know, right?
Like, we respect you so much. You do so much just to live there. That's mad respect.
Right. Jeez Louise.
We just are like, give me my AC.
Yeah.
Which is important, of course. But it's not the same thing as like having to wake up every day and shovel
a driveway
and salt
scrape
that shit.
Scrape the ice off of your windshield.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So much shit you don't realize.
And then frozen pipes and such.
Oh yeah, what a nightmare.
That would be a complete. And then you usually have a whole separate bill, like for that kind of heating, because you're paying for like gas or whatever.
Oh yeah,
so it's just like a whole different setup.
Yeah,
for it's a lot. But anyway, since it's summer, is there something on your like summer bucket list? And by bucket list, I just mean like something you'd like to do every summer before it's over, not like the one thing I want to do before I die.
Right. Okay. Good. All right. Because
that just happens to be during the summer months.
Yeah, like a summer thing you want to do before you die. That's what I would have thought originally. So I'm glad you clarified that. No, well, we kind of did mine today. Actually, was to go to the pier. I want to be going to the pier all the time. We have a pier in St. Petersburg, Florida, that it's pretty new. It was just put in, and it is gorgeous. It is. Yes. It was so much fun.
It has very much adult playground vibes.
Yeah, it's like Disney World for adults.
But
you know,
it's free. First of all, well, close to it.
that's how adults would have it. You know, it's
like you can pay for parking if you don't want to walk for very long.
That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's accessible and it has all these different vibes going on. Like if you want to spend money there, you can. But if you want to just go chill there, you can.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different types of experiences.
There's like a permanent drum circle underneath these giant weird net things that hang in the trees and stuff.
Change
it's
colors.
Just gorgeous. Yeah. It's so cool. So if you're like a hipster, hippie dude, like you can go hang out at the drum circle and get your DMT or whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
But,
and also shout out to Pinellas County in general. I just want to say, because the pier is in downtown St. Pete, and part of the reason why St. Pete is amazing because our entire downtown area is just very good, like just a lovely experience because there's just so many different vibes happening that you can find something really great to do. And it's centrally located and it's nice. What was I saying? Oh, so shout out to Pinellas County because the Florida subreddit just did a, what do you call it? A poll where you sync different counties.
And by sync,
every
you
day
mean delete them from the
map.
state.
Yes,
yeah,
like they don't exist anymore. Of course, one of the first ones to go was Pasco.
Everything sucks in Pasco. Like
Pasco
just,
and then Polk. It was just like gone so fast.
Quick.
Oh
Sorry,
my God, it
Sarah.
Was
that sucks. You lost real
gone.
Quick.
Like we can't do, which is sad because I love Lakeland, but it's like Lakeland is another really adorable downtown area, but it's just so tiny.
Yeah.
Like it's so small.
Yeah, it's too small.
But anyway, yeah.
It is fun though.
Every county sank except Pinellas County. We won, and that's
last
saying
county
a lot.
Standing.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot because we almost got sank multiple times because people had pretty good arguments against us because of Clearwater and all the Scientology. It's like you cannot let the Scientologists win, and I'm sympathetic to that. But as a person who lives in St. Petersburg, I'm like, we can't. Clearwater is too tiny and doesn't matter compared to the wonderfulness that is St. Pete.
We don't define ourselves by our craziest, inhabitants.
Yes.
Okay.
But also, it's a solid blue part of the state.
Yeah, that too. Imagine that.
Yeah, we got and yeah, it's a great area. So the pier was amazing. That was a lot of fun.
Gorgeous and so much fun.
Just water.
So much to do.
So many great water views.
Yeah.
Just water everywhere. So that's a really cool thing for the bucket list.
Yeah. What about yours? Do you have a bucket list?
I think mine is always, I always have a few things. Like one is eat barbecue at some point, preferably outside, but I won't quibble if it ends up being indoors. And fireworks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, gotta see the fireworks.
Gotta see fireworks. So that just fireworks always feels very summer.
You're in the perfect spot for that now, because like
we are.
Yeah, we are. That's why I mean, it's your bucket list, but
yes.
But we are in the perfect spot for that now, because like, holy shit, the New Year's, it was 4th of July.
Yes.
Was insane. I mean, and we could see it all from our front porch in like 7 different directions. It was awesome.
I've never had to like cut my own self off. For fireworks. Fireworks. Usually the fireworks end and you're like, okay, I guess I'll just, I'll go back in the house or whatever, or it's time to go home because the show is over. And it's like that night we had to be like, okay, well, it's it just keeps. We can either just stay here or
and St. Pete light shows are done, but there's still like 7 more on the other side.
Like I don't know how we looked out, but there are just like 4 different neighborhoods all around us that are just going bananas with fireworks. It's beautiful.
And it wasn't just like bottle rocket. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just like neighborhood, like what you would think of from like a neighborhood fireworks show, right? Yes. Like the bottle rockets and maybe some Roman candles and some Mars missiles. No, these were like the big, like ones that like blow up into like, those big star looking. I don't know what they're called.
They looked fancy. They were
fancy.
Expensive.
Yeah.
So I think we got some firework enthusiasts somewhere around here, all the way around us.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
yeah, that was amazing. So yeah, actually I think I pretty much already did my bucket list because we did make barbecue, and so
I have to make barbecue like once every month or something like that. Like I love barbecue.
You really, really do. You really do. But anyway, y'all tell us what's on your summer bucket list. Hit us up.
Yeah, right in. Let us know.
Let us know.
Unapologetics. Unapologetics666@gmail.com.
And also, if you're in the secret friend group, hit up the board and let us know. Might need to add some stuff to summer bucket lists.
All right. Yeah.
Headlines?
Let's do some headlines.
Unapologetics headlines.
All right. So the first story in headlines, I think, is the COVID numbers here in Florida have increased like crazy.
I mean, just COVID nationally, too.
I mean, it is. Yeah, that's true. That's true as well.
The numbers are up. That Delta variant is here.
Yeah.
It has landed, and it's so wild to see exactly what was said before. Like, if you don't get vaccinated, it may come back to haunt you because we don't know that this is the only strain.
Right.
Like, these arguments were made so clear. Over and over and over again. Of course, now we understand only on the media that is not Fox News and all the other right-wing stations that were doing obviously something very different than what all the other stations and news sources were doing, which was telling us what the science says and just reporting it. I remember when it went crazy in India, I was just like, holy shit, this is terrifying. This is fucking terrifying. And it's like, then there was like a huge spike in the UK, and it's like, oh my God, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like, it's coming.
And one of the things that kind of drives me crazy is I've been seeing a lot of talk about this on the internet, and Holy Kool-Aid actually put out a really good video on it just to compare the numbers and stuff. Because like people are saying that if it's 95, it's like 99%, or what is it, like 1% chance that you'll die or whatever, right? And so they're putting those numbers next to the efficacy numbers of the vaccine and thinking, well, that's only 95% effective. That's 99. Like what? Oh, so I mean, it's less effective than just not even getting vaccinated. That is absolutely not how, exactly. That's not how you work those numbers, right? Because you're 95% chance of not getting it at all. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's number one. Okay, then beyond that, the small 5% or whatever that does end up getting it, is something like 90-something% chance of not even being hospitalized. Mm-hmm. So that's a percentage within that little 5% percentage. So it's so helpful to get vaccinated. That's my point. And these numbers are insane. Like them trying to put this next to that and think that they actually have a good argument. It's just because we see numbers and we put them next to each other. It's almost like when people think that like 3/4 or 1/3 is bigger or smaller than 3/4. So you know what I mean, that sort of thing. It's just because we see the numbers and we our brains we're just not good at math. Our brains aren't. So it's just that quick. But especially
bigger than
right
1/3.
Yeah, 1/3 is actually bigger than 1/4.
Yes.
Yeah, like you wouldn't, but that you don't think that. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said it right.
And I was like,
wait, oh no, that would be bigger.
No.
Yeah, no.
1/3 is definitely not bigger than
right? But you see those numbers and people automatically.
I'm listening to you.
Yeah, you are. Thank you. Appreciate that because
I
don't always listen to me.
No, that's an excellent way to put that, Brent. Honestly, that is, and I think too, you get caught up in the whataboutisms and the like, you're focusing on the wrong things. Like, absolutely, I am interested. I'm very much interested to figure out the folks who are vaccinated and are getting breakthrough, symptoms that basically end up in death. I'm very interested to see what is going on there. What is that about? But I'm not freaking out about it because I understood when I took the vaccine that it was only so effective,
right? And
that there's no way to protect you if you already have contraindications that would make you susceptible to death when it comes to COVID. Mm-hmm. So if you're also battling diabetes, or if you're battling, congestive heart failure, there is a good chance that's, or pulmonary, any kind of pulmonary disease. Right. Even with the vaccine, there's a good chance it's not going to work out for you. But it's like they don't pay attention to that part. No. They pay attention to, even people with the vaccine are dying. So what is the point? And it's like, but they're dying so much less than people who are unvaccinated. Right.
That's the majority of the people that are in the hospitals and stuff right now. And it's become such a problem. And because the people that are unvaccinated are more often than not, and by more often than not, I mean almost always conservatives. Right. And so they actually had to put up signs. They had to put up signs in medical facilities saying, please be kind to the other people here. Okay. Please be nice. If you are mistreating the staff or the other patients, you will be asked to leave. They had to make that a sign lately because most of the people in those COVID sections of the hospital are just insufferable.
I will say this. I'm going to have maximum empathy here, conservative or not, just because there is something going on with us emotionally. It's not hard to see. Like, Karen videos went from like real fucking annoying to like, do these people need help?
Yeah.
Real fast since COVID. Right. And I just, it's something ain't right with folks right now. Like, I think a lot of folks we just went through something very traumatic. Mm-hmm. And, we've all dealt with it in our own ways. And I think some of us haven't dealt with it at fucking all. And it would certainly seem like if you've been denying this whole time that it's even real, you'd be pissed the fuck off that you're sitting here in this ICU fucking waiting room, waiting to say basically goodbye to someone in a full fucking hazmat suit while you're steady reading and watching media that's telling you that these people are lying to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be, I mean, and that cognitive dissonance rage is real. Yes. That's some rage that, once you're kind of faced with the fact that you've been wrong, especially if you've sunk some costs and sunk some arguments online and been so sure about what you thought, that rage is real.
Yes, quite. It is quite real. And the disease is real. Like, this is the thing. It's like you cannot, exactly. You can't deny it anymore. No. It's happening. It's happening in your communities. It's happening in your families. And it's something we're all still living with. And so what's interesting is even in Florida, it's absurd. So Florida, this is from AP, Florida's coronavirus cases jumped 50% this very week. And that's the week of like July 30th. Wow. The state health department reported continuing a 6-week surge that has made it the nation's outbreaks epicenter. More than 110,000 new virus cases were reported statewide in the past week. So we are the epicenter. And we have a governor that's basically running around the country acting like he killed COVID. He beat COVID. Like,
it's like, yeah, we're all open. Okay. We got this under control. All right. We beat it. He's up like, top, bro.
Big bad. Oh, my bad, y'all. We're not ready for you yet. Okay? We're not ready. Calm down.
Hang back, Ronnie.
Okay.
Hang back.
But he is really out here in these streets acting like I'm Mr. Freedom Governor. Mm-hmm. I'm the governor of freedom. Mm-hmm. That's me, DeSantis.
Freedom.
So I have him this week. He went to an ALEC conference because he's been, all over the fucking country doing other shit. Like he went over to Texas to play games about their, made up border crisis.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Why did he... Like that crisis is more important than the crisis we've got here of us being the fucking epicenter.
Chum to the base.
Of the
chum
country.
To the base. Chum to the base. It's
COVID.
Just chum to the base.
Yeah,
and
that seems to be his biggest game. Is just let me just tell my voters exactly what they want to hear.
We're full on echo chamber here. Like this is full on. This is I sometimes feel like I'm in a simulation. I just I'm being watched right now to see how I'm dealing with the cognitive dissonance of living in two completely separate media eco-centers in one country.
Yeah. I know, right? We're just a little petri dish to see what we do and how we function.
I'm convinced. I don't understand. It just seems like the most boring project ever, but it's happening and it's insane. So anyway, our numbers have been surging for 6 whole weeks. Of course, there's barely anything DeSantis can do because he basically made it impossible for us to do any fucking thing.
He basically put a ban on
everything. He banned mandates, basically.
Yeah, he banned mandates.
He banned mandates and basically will not declare emergencies anymore, so there's no extra money. So anything that you do want to do is going to have to come out of your own budget, which is already fucking bare because COVID has already been killing municipal budgets for the past year and a half.
Because he's so hyper-focused on the fact, and this is a fact, that, so Florida is the most vacationed spot in the world. And at least it was the last time I checked the polls when I read that article. That was a bit ago. But it's the most vacation spot on the planet. And so that's his main focus is if we start closing things down, right, then we're gonna lose a shitload of money. We're gonna lose a shitload of tax money, all this other stuff, right? So that's his main focus. I'm not thinking about the fact that we're the most vacationed spot on the planet, and if people get sick, they're bringing that shit back to their fucking place, man.
I don't think that he cares.
He doesn't care. No, he doesn't care. He wants to act like this thing's some small little cold, that's just nothing.
I don't think that he cares. In fact, let's see. So this week he was at an ALEC event. ALEC is basically conservative legislative group. They're the ones that write all those terrible boilerplate, awful Republican laws that often get passed in state houses. But yeah, so they're, one of their many opportunities for advancement. And let's see what he said about COVID while, our numbers are surging.
Okay. Let's do it.
Did you not get the CDC's memo? I don't see you guys complying. And I say that jokingly, but I think that may be a sign of potentially seeking to do more things into the future. And I think it's very important that we say unequivocally no to lockdowns, no to school closures, no to restrictions, and no mandates.
Pause it. So no restrictions at all. Just no restrictions. Just, that worked out great for Texas when they did all their, deregulation and everything. That worked out great when they had their pipes exploding and all their problems. All the deregulation. That's helpful, right?
Brent's we will not be Texas.
Well, we're about to be, man. We might as well be at this fucking
we're very
point.
Close.
Jesus.
We're very close. We're very, very close. And no shade, Texans.
No, sorry, y'all. Sorry you gotta deal
spirit.
with your fucking government.
Oh, it seems rough.
see what else he has to say.
Floridians are free to choose, and all Americans should be free to choose how they govern their affairs, how they take care of themselves and our families, and they should not be consigned to live, regardless of which state in the union, consigned to live in a Faucian dystopia in which we're governed by the whims of bureaucratic authorities who care little for our freedom, little for our aspirations, and little for our happiness. No more. We can't let it happen going forward.
Because you know how happy you are when everybody's dying around you. You know, that's a fucking ball. That's a ball right there.
And this whole like new
the right to kill our whole family by accident. Jesus Christ.
Everything awful is Fauci now. Like Fauci and this and Fauci ouchies and Fauci. What
the
is
fuck?
so weird.
You mean science?
It is so weird.
Is Fauciism just science?
And it's like you get caught up in him as a person, and I get all that because he has been here since the beginning. And I think there are good arguments to be made that it's probably time for someone else. Like he probably needs a break. No, there maybe needs to be someone else who's a new face of it. But I don't think that that's true because conservatives are being an idiot about him. Like, I think they're going to do that regardless of who's going to be the new person. And that new person is going to get the same kind of abuse. I just feel that way because of some of the missteps he has made. Like, his actual performance.
No. I mean, but a lot of it is him just saying what the science says at that moment, right? So, like,
He's making some calls sometimes, though.
Sure. But, I mean, it's based on the information that they've gathered up until that point. And that's the problem, is science is constantly... Hold on one second. Let me just make a point real quick.
I'm going to shut up.
We need somebody that isn't the scientist to deliver the information to the public. Because you have to keep in mind how the public is going to respond, right? And a scientist doesn't think about that stuff. They're just like, hey, here's what we know so far. Here's the facts. Here's like what we think is the best way to go right now. And boom, boom, boom. You know, and you need somebody that's like, that understands that, hey, people can take this, like saying this can actually be more harmful than good. Because if we go back on this, because the science changes, then it's going to make you look like you don't know what you're talking about, even though that's how fucking science works. You know what I mean? So you need somebody that's more of a diplomat between the scientists and the American public. That's what I think.
I feel you, but I feel like we already have that with...
Because we clearly can't handle just the scientists telling us science stuff. We can't handle it.
I feel like that's who Fauci is, though. Because he's still working with, like, the White House Office of Communication. He's still working with plenty of PR professionals.
But then he needs psychologists,
communication folks there around him. I just think it could be a scientist. I disagree. I want it to be a scientist. I think they need a psychology expert to be in between. Man. It's like they need somebody who can manipulate us.
That can that can make sure that like they can be the between. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
that
get
can
what you're
soften
saying.
the blow. You know.
I don't want the blow softened though. That's the thing. I don't want the blow softened. I want the truth. That's it. Like, you're the fucking scientist. Give me the truth. Well, then, or what we know so far.
Well, and I think that the stuff that Fauci says like should be in a place to where the people that care to look can go look, but the person that's talking to everybody about it, because they're not going to look. You know what I mean? They're not going to go do the effort to go look. So like, I don't know. I just think we need like a spokesperson that's a psychology expert that can think about how people will respond to these types of realities, being told to them. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm saying I agree with you. So I agree in the sense that like there should probably be someone who's a little bit more diplomatic. But I just feel like that is Fauci though. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like that's who he's been this whole time. And what we needed was someone who was a little bit more like, actually, I'm going to take leave from, scientists in this country because this makes more sense or whatever, as opposed to trying to coddle us.
He's a virologist. That means he's like, he's a cool guy. Don't get me wrong. He's, I like his voice. He's got
Here we go. This was not supposed to happen. We were not supposed to be this. I had no idea we had this many feelings about Fauci. This is illuminating for both of us right now.
I just don't think he's the best
audience,
person. I think we agree. Like, I don't think he's the best person to be delivering this shit. Fire Fauci. Hashtag.
No.
Fire. Just kidding.
Do not fucking
Just
start
kidding.
that shit here. We will not be the flagship of that. I can't control who hops on that ship, and
We need somebody who understands
with those motherfuckers. I just did a lot of different types of analogies, and I feel like all of them were aquatic based, so it worked. But
we need somebody that can speak to the 50% of the country that are fucking idiots. That's what we need. Okay. And they can softball this shit for them, okay?
But I think that's what we got.
No, he's just spitting straight facts, bro.
All right, we're going to have to agree to disagree. But the point is, from that speech, you can hear that happened just this week. DeSantis has no plans on doing a goddamn thing, it sounds like.
No.
So whatever the consequences of this school year upcoming is just going to be that. You know, I was looking at, I think it was maybe Sarasota or Palm Harbor. I don't know, one of these small counties. They had to basically go back on what they were going to do because they initially sent out a letter to parents basically saying, we ain't doing shit. We're not, no masks are mandatory. There will be no temperatures taken. And we will not inform you when there's someone has COVID, and we will not require quarantine. So parents flipped out, and now they're at least going to let you know. But quarantine obviously is going to have to be optional. So they're already, like, the school, like some of these counties are already getting ready basically to do nothing because DeSantis is basically coming down to, I will do nothing. Like, yeah, don't ask me for money for shit to, you know, clean the school or do this or no, I'm not doing it.
Wow.
Like, COVID has moved on. We've moved on.
Jesus, that's pathetic. That is pathetic.
And unfortunately he's kind of the leader of the pack when it comes to Republican governors, you know, and the wild part of it is I cannot believe the kind of candidates in the Republican Party that we have coming up. It feels like an epic troll, just like the worst kind of fate to have to listen to Ron DeSantis for longer than the 4 years as governor.
Yeah.
Please don't make me pay attention to this man for 4 additional years as the president. That just feels like, in addition to the awful things he's going to do to so many people.
And he just will too.
And institutions and everything. It's just, his whole energy is so smug.
Yeah.
It is so hard to take anything seriously. So hard.
And it sucks too, because, like, you know, I mean, if you think people got crazy because of Trump, imagine somebody who's like actually got halfway a decent way of being able to speak. You know, it's not like I get the best words, the words that I say are the best words, the best words best. Like, you know, and he can at least articulate awfulness in what he's trying to say, you know, better than the guy who is touted as the best of the best of the best of their entire party. So that's kind of terrifying in my mind. And that's what I was afraid of with Trump, was like, he basically demonstrated to all of the right, here's all the rules you can break, y'all, and get away with it. Mm-hmm. And now, if somebody who's actually fucking smart gets in there, or not, I mean, not smart, but like, you know, not as stupid, right? Then how much worse can it be? You know what I mean? Like, this, we're not even, it's unbelievable what Trump has basically done. Like, he has thrown a wrench in the fucking mechanics of our government that can possibly lead to the end of all of it.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the way the January 6th Commission And I mean,
And the fact that they're just like saying, "Oh, they're just tourists."
Speaking of COVID, like that whole weird moment this week where all those Republican representatives did this like maskless march to the Senate.
Oh my God, yeah.
When you know we're trying to get vaccines up, what is this all for?
Right, yeah. It's just...
And you know those people have been vaccinated.
Yeah, they've all been, but they won't admit it. They won't admit it. They say it's a violation of their HIPAA rights, which they don't understand what HIPAA rights are at all.
All I know is...
HIPAA rights just mean that the doctor
Brent's like,
can't tell other people what their diagnosis is at all, right? The doctor can't do that. You can tell anybody you want.
I mean, I think the point is you don't need HIPAA to not have to disclose your...
But it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what HIPAA rights are. But anyway,
you just say, I won't be doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't... And the thing is, to me, I just feel like these people are idiots if they don't think by them not answering that they aren't saying, yes, they got it.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, let's be real here. People who
if
haven't
you
gotten it seem to be very loud and proud about the fact that they are not vaccinated.
Right.
So I don't understand why anyone would be playing coy when the answer gives you actual cachet.
Exactly.
Doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. We'll see how... I mean, we won't see. It'll just get worse.
No, we're not going to see anything. It's just going to keep being a lot more of the same.
Yes, it's going to get worse. That is one thing that seems to be self-fulfilling. Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to make it worse. She's going to do that.
I really hope that lady goes away at the next election.
I mean,
really hope that
she's making too much money.
Bogert.
She's making too much money. This grift is good. This grift is good. I was reading, I think they said Trump's company made like $2.4 billion during the 4 years. $2.4 billion.
Jesus. That's...
It's almost like he was like, I'm broke as shit and have these terrible loans. I need to make some money real quick. Yeah. And it was like, somebody was like, you know, it's a great way to make money? Run for office. And then it just happened.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, and I know this isn't like, like a novel theory. It's obviously what happened. Yeah. But it's just kind of like, I can't believe, I mean, I guess I can believe, but our presidency can be used to basically launder your reputation to get people to actually put money into you.
But at the same time, monarchy. It's on a political, and keep this in mind, this is a purely political viewpoint of this. They're actively trying to kill their base.
Yeah.
Their numbers are going to be dwindling. Like we just said, most of the people in the ICU are conservatives to the point where they had to put up signs that said, don't be cruel to your nurse, because she says science things, like that was like literally what had to happen. So like their numbers are going to be significantly less if they're promoting things that minimizes their base. And again, this is on a purely political understanding. This is terrible and horrible, and it's horrifying that they would do this sort of thing. But this is the type of result that they're going to get from their own batshittery.
Yes, you're right. And if you keep pulling at that thread, you get to this point where you see now why they're doing so much work when it comes to voting rights, when it comes to scaling that back, when it comes to getting conservatives on the bench.
They have to.
They have to, because this only this is the fact that they are a minority party is reality, and it's not ever going to get better. No. It's only going to get worse with time.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way it works is if you change the rules to the point where the minority can win sometimes. And honestly, they can win a lot of times. And if they're not winning here, they're winning here. And if they're not winning here, they're winning over there. So
that's
Democrats are always having their hand, one hand tied behind their back wherever they are, because something is always stopping up the progress.
And that's exactly why the second they have the modicum of power, they are just using it to the nth degree, to get everything that they possibly can, because they know they're losing. They know they're losing. But let's go ahead and move on to something a little bit less devastating and go into We Be Nerd.
Something fun.
That's right.
For some people.
Yeah. Sorry for all you folks that hate all the nerd stuff. It's,
let's talk about what it is first before we
30
get
seconds for the next 27, 30 seconds is...
We Be Nerd Corner. We Be Nerd Corner.
Yeah. You just combined them.
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
We be nerding. We be nerding every day. We be nerding. Fuck Bill Maher right in his face. We be nerding. We be nerding every day. We be nerding. We be nerding every day. We be nerding. Fuck Bill Maher right in his face. We be nerding. We be nerding every day.
All right. So, in We Be Nerdin', oh my goodness, there's been... Disney Plus, to me, has fucking paid off. Everybody's giving a shit and everything, like, it's not that much content. Okay, yeah, it's not that much content, but the content that's on there is phenomenal. Like, it's fucking good content. And so we got
We are not being played by Disney Plus by
No, we're not.
any way.
We're not. This is my personal
the
opinions.
reason why Brent just jumped into a complete commercial for Disney Plus is because we wanted to talk about the Marvel shows.
Yeah.
And Black Widow, since we did go to see that. And I realized
And we
now-
went to the theaters. Yeah, that's right. We didn't watch it on the fucking streaming service like some kind of chump.
smart people would have done, because we were lucky as fuck that we didn't end up getting that Delta variant.
I know, right?
Even though it was pretty empty, we
No, it
went
was
like
empty,
early
yeah.
in the afternoon
We
on
were good.
purpose, and
We always do
it was
matinee.
that like you could choose your own seat, so we sat far away from people.
That's
and
right. Because
it was
like,
fun.
where are the people at? Okay, pick different seats. Like, that's how you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, when you see the little red dots, you pick the green dots to be where the red dots aren't.
That's it. Anyway,
Because the green dots are yours and the red dots are the ones that are...
first of all, it's kind of sad because we haven't done We Be Nerding in such a long time, and I really hope that we're only doing We Be Nerding when, we have Marvel stuff to review. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, because fuck DC, man. I don't even... I'm just kidding.
That's really sad because I actually have a lot of thoughts about DC now that we talk about Disney Plus. Disney Plus is really great. I'm not going to knock it. But you know what's funny? HBO Max has been such
Yes.
it's the gift that keeps on giving, because I am now obsessed with all the DC cartoons, like the animated shows and movies.
The cartoon,
They're
honestly...
so fucking good.
I know I just said fuck DC, but like as far as DC goes, like their cartoons are amazing. I mean, they're almost to par with like what with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although of course the visualization isn't as great, but the stories and the movies and everything is awesome. Mm-hmm. They do a great job. They're really fun.
It's been really fun doing that. Oh, you know what we could do too? What would be fun? We should probably do for Patreon. We should do a review of the Tomorrow War.
Oh,
that's what we should do. That'd be good. Because we had, I think we spent a solid couple hours on a Saturday morning just going through everything. Like we watched it and we just kind of let it simmer, and then we came back together a few days later and we're just like, okay, here's everything that's wrong with all of this that's going on. But also here's what worked. So yeah, maybe that's something that we can do. But anyway, now, let's talk about Disney Plus and these Marvel shows. So first, before we talk about Black Widow, let's talk about the shows that are actually on Disney Plus. So we had, at this point, we've only had 3 premiere. We've had WandaVision was first, and then we had Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then we just wrapped up Loki. And then I think the next one is going to be Hawkeye, which will be in November.
Oh no shit. Oh okay. Cool.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
So,
Well, and what about what if?
oh,
If is
maybe what
coming,
if
too.
is, well, I'm sort of only talking about the live action ones.
Oh, well, I mean,
I know What If is in the Marvel universe, but it's
And it looks
literally called
awesome.
What If.
Yeah.
Like, these are not, and apparently the Hawkeye that's coming up is the Avenger Hawkeye, so it's like
But-
after everything.
well,
So,
see, hold on
pretty
now,
interesting.
because they're doing this whole like multiverse thing, right?
Yes.
And so I think what if is like going to be significant within that, because they're going to probably, it's almost going to be like Stephen King with the Dark Tower. They're going to be going into different universes, and you're going to recognize them based upon what you understand from What If.
Okay, I
So,
did not
anyway,
realize that What If
but
was going to be a part of the timeline. I just thought
think,
it was going to be
it's a possibility.
this fun
I'm
side
just-
story.
Yeah, I don't really see a whole
fun.
reason why they would make that a show. I mean, it was such a small comic thing that like only like really the major comic buffs really liked that series. But if it's has to do with all this multiverse stuff, then it would make sense, because you're like, oh, that's the universe from that What If show. And that's why all this stuff is the way it is. So anyway, but I don't know if that's the case, but I'm just saying,
That'll be fun to watch. I'm obviously watching those. We're obviously going to watch those. Those trailers look really great for that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk first about WandaVision.
WandaVision.
What did you love about it? Did you love anything about it?
I actually really did like it a lot. It started off really fucking weird, because it was just like literally like the first and it was even weirder because it was one episode at a time, right? So like we saw the first episode and it was literally just like a Dick Van Dyke episode, and that was kind of weird.
Yeah,
And then it's like
definitely not my cup of tea.
right. I actually like, because I'm a big fan of Dick Van Dyke, or the Dick Van Dyke Show, and so like, it was really cool to me because they really kind of nodded to a lot of the things within those sitcoms, but each time they went, it was like a different era, of the sitcom world, and so it was kind of cool in that regard. And then it became, by the end, it was just a full blown Marvel movie. But I could see at first people being like, what the fuck is going on here?
What did you love about it? Was it the beginning part?
I loved
You're just explaining the show now.
I
And
love
I'm
the
like,
progression.
everybody's seen WandaVision.
I know. I love the progression that they started out really weird and just being like, what the
It
fuck
ended up at like Modern Family.
And then just, in Modern Family, and then going into a full-blown Marvel movie. Like, it was just really cool, like, that they started from that weird progression, from this to that. And I thought that was really neat.
I gotta say, the first few episodes were really tough for me because I am not a big fan of 50s and 60s TV shows. I don't know why. I just am not. 70s was when I first was like, okay, I can chill with this. But
Taxi,
yeah,
and not
like,
even that. You hate it when I watch Taxi, but whatever.
I mean, no, I didn't hate Taxi. There was another show you used to watch that I could not stand.
I don't know.
Oh, what
And
was
Taxi's
it?
the one, not Cheers.
Cheers did annoy me a bit. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Maybe I can't even do the 80s. No, I'm just kidding. I love the 80s. Just Cheers wasn't my favorite.
That's too funny.
I didn't dislike it. I definitely would sit down and watch Cheers over Dick Van Dyke Show.
Or
That's
Taxi.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I would watch Taxi over all the two of those.
Oh, you would watch Taxi first before those?
Yeah, I actually like
okay.
Taxi.
Oh, you like Taxi? Okay. I thought that was the one you hated.
I thought Kaufman was weird, but the rest of it was actually quite fun.
Is weird.
Especially Christopher Lloyd.
Latka is supposed to be weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and he's a weird person.
So yeah, I liked WandaVision. The first few episodes didn't hit me. I did in the end, love the reveal of Agatha, and it was really good.
Cool.
Yeah, it was just fun. But it was just one of those, like, it felt like you just went so far to get so little. Is that
Really?
because let's do this, because we don't have time to break down each show what worked and what didn't work. I mean, I guess because it's like you know, who cares? They're not going anywhere. It's fucking Disney. But here's the thing that I think is the issue with these shows is like, I enjoyed myself while I was watching them, but I'm finding myself not wanting to go back and rewatch shit. Like, there are some Loki episodes I can rewatch because one of the things I did like about Loki is Loki felt like it was raising the bar a little bit from
episode to episode.
Yeah, as far as, you know, the
and there was a whole like
effects
mystery
and music and costumes and all that. It was just really fun and really interesting off the wall episodes, and just a lot of memeable shit. So yeah, Loki was fun. But again, I'm like, if someone was like, "You want to go rewatch Loki?" I'm like, "Fuck no."
Okay. I mean, I rewatch stuff all the time, so I don't know. I'd rewatch any of those.
But you do not rewatch these shows.
I mean, I don't.
This is my point.
I'm just saying
this
I would.
This is my point.
Give me like a few years, and then I'm going to rewatch all of them.
This is my point. It's like, I think, you know, one of the things that I think is so good about the Marvel movies is you do kind of want to rewatch them, and you recognize things that you missed along the way. But these shows aren't really given that vibe. Like, these shows are kind of like, I'm here, I'm enjoying it because this is what Disney is giving me, but really I'm just here to get the information I need to get to be able to then understand the next show or understand where we're going, you know, in the universe now, as opposed to like really wanting to see WandaVision kick ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
no, you're probably right.
Or
about
really wanting, because like, I'm gonna be honest, by that last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was relieved because I find Anthony Mackie a bit preachy and he gets on my nerves. And so I was just kind of like, by the end, I was like, we get it.
I think that was my least favorite, which is so funny because when I saw all the movies that were going to be, or the shows that were going to be coming out, I thought that was going to be my favorite.
Me too.
And it ended up being my least favorite.
Me too.
Like, I was just like, damn, okay. I mean, and it had a lot of great action. The plot lines were good, but it's like you said, this is just the explanation you need in between movies. You know what I mean?
That's what it felt like.
And it wasn't even like, because like I felt like Marvel already kind of tried to do this with Netflix, with Daredevil and all those others, but they basically they shoved them off to the side, and they're like, here's stories that happened completely adjacent to what was going on. And it wasn't explaining anything. It was just over here. It's their own stories, right? And those were good because they had their own stories. They weren't like trying to get you to the next movie, which almost makes it worse.
I mean, yeah.
Because I have rewatched Daredevil. I have rewatched Jessica. What's her name?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, the reporter girl that's like awesome. Anyway, and
wait, the reporter
or
the private investigator,
private investigator, not reporter. Sorry, and Luke Cage.
Yes, love some Luke Cage. God damn, I hate
Those
it
were
when
great.
they canceled that.
And they were
was real sad.
It was because they were just their own thing. They weren't trying to explain anything. They were just off on their own. They were
so good.
Defenders.
We need to rewatch
fucking
Defenders.
amazing. Yes,
we need to rewatch
absolutely.
Defenders. See what I'm saying? Like, we're willing to rewatch those, but we can't. I'm not feeling it. And these are fewer episodes.
Right? Yeah, they're easier to get through because
these are fewer. I would
episodes,
rather rewatch my least favorite season of Daredevil than rewatch any of these.
Least favorite? Well, how do you have a least? They're all awesome.
Nope. I really feel like season 1 is not strong. I don't feel like season 1 is strong. I'm sorry. Okay. I just don't.
The Punisher one was amazing.
That was some riveting TV, and I would even rewatch Punisher, even though the violence is a lot.
It's pretty brutal. Yeah,
it's a lot.
It gets rough at times.
So yeah, and I think that was one of the criticisms with Loki is that, you know, it was great if all you're doing is setting up the next universe, but did we really get a whole lot of growth for Loki? Or in the end, in the final episode, they sort of cut out a lot of the growth that could have happened for Loki, and in its place put a shit ton of exposition from Kong. What's his name? The man who's there.
Mobius?
Is that his name?
Mobius? Are you talking, well, I don't,
Yeah.
Mobius.
That was his
Talking
name.
the guy, from Wedding Crashers. And is that who you're talking about?
No.
Who are you talking about?
The guy at the end, the big reveal at the end.
Oh, the time
yeah.
watcher, dude. Wow, we're spoiling the fuck out. Spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's basically
He
the timekeeper.
who remains.
The timekeeper.
He who remains.
He who remains. Yeah.
But it's supposed to be Kong.
It's outside.
You know who Kong is, right?
Kong.
I read. Let's see. Because you remember he said he had a lot of different. He had variants.
Yeah.
So one of them, and it looks to be the person who, at the end we basically get the. Yeah, you're gonna definitely have to put spoilers in the description.
No shit.
Our bad, y'all.
I'm so sorry. Okay. I'll put it in the description.
In the final episode, that's kind of the when at the end when it's clear that Loki is done, like it's back at the beginning.
He gets passed through time, passed to the point of the end, and goes back to the beginning. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's like, oh fuck.
Like
who are
these
you
people
again?
have a point though, because it's like what growth?
Like, wait a
was
second,
that?
they don't know who he is. Well, oh man.
Anyway, it appears that the TVA is in control of Kong the Conqueror. So Kong the Conqueror is a fictional supervillain appearing in American comic book published by Marvel Comics, and apparently he's very powerful. So as Kong, his powers are he can time travel, he has genius level intellect, which I guess we've already seen him show this in He Who Remains. Skilled tactician in hand-to-hand combat and resistance to radiation, access to advanced technology, and he has highly advanced battle armor that grants enhanced strength, energy, hologram, and force field projection.
Wow,
a 30-day supply of air and food, and the ability to control other forms of technology.
He has a 30-day
He is
supply.
OP as fuck.
So he's like a doomsday prepper just in his suit.
Yeah.
For 30 days at least.
Like, whoa, he is.
That's funny.
Wow. That's going to be fun to fight.
A bunch of them too. He's going to be fighting a bunch of them.
Loki's going to really have to. And that was another thing too. It's like they made him so weak. Like Loki throughout the movie canon was a great fighter, and just I mean, and I guess he did fight a lot, but I don't know. I
think it's like one of those things. So it's like, it almost reminds me of like, when you like forget your phone, and then you're constantly like reaching for your phone, and you're like, oh fuck, but I forgot it. Dang, because you're like, no, you're wrong. Let me Google it. Fuck, I can't Google. I forgot my phone, and it's like that because he's constantly going back to the time variance place, right, where he has no powers, and so I think when he's actually fighting, he's like, and then by that time, like once you actually do get your phone back, you forget you have it because you've gotten too used to not having your goddamn phone.
True.
So then he's like, I forgot I even had powers.
I guess I see your point, but like, I mean, I guess that just feels weak. I don't know. It just looks like the Loki we know absolutely needs some more time to work on his skills. He needs to up his magic game. Or I should say they, because
yeah, there's more than one.
Wait, no.
She has a different
Is that
name.
what
I can't think of her name.
I feel like Tom Hiddleston either came out and said that Loki, I can't remember if they were saying Loki was gender fluid or Loki is pansexual. Might be both. Probably both. So
either way,
they need to work on their skills. Honestly, like you need to get back in there and like do some.
I think it was
some fighting.
Yeah, I think he did fine. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
I think he he worked hard, and he deserves some praise for the hard work he did.
I am sure that's definitely necessary. It's noted, Brent.
It was a lot
I'll
of fun.
put it in the minutes. Like, I don't
Definitely check out that show.
Yeah.
Hopefully we didn't spoil it if you hadn't seen it yet. And hopefully we gave you some insights.
And you should still watch it. We're not saying they're terrible, right? Like, there's a lot of really terrible TV. This isn't terrible TV. It's just kind of not wonderful TV.
Yeah.
I'd still much rather watch.
It's the Star Wars dilemma, okay? Like, we've loved the Marvel movies, and we love them so much, and so when Episode 1 comes out, and it's all a bunch of cartoons, we get a little bit frustrated, okay? And it's not as good, and even if it's awesome, it still is not as good as what we'd like it to be. And so,
to be fair, we are paying Disney Plus only like $7.99 a month, so I don't know what we're expecting. To be honest with you.
So we went and saw Black Widow in
Yes.
the theaters, as we alluded to earlier. What did you think?
I definitely enjoyed myself. I gotta say, I mostly, just like everybody else, enjoyed Florence Pugh the most. She was fucking adorable.
Oh yeah,
the sister Yelena.
The sister, yeah. She was great. She was great.
And obviously Dave Harbour and fucking. I mean, doesn't even need to be said anymore. But what's her name? Evie. Rachel Weisz is. She's really good at just like deadpan humor. Mm-hmm. She's very good at that.
She's solid.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. You know, obviously the action was fucking ridiculous.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
So many times these humans should have died. So many times these humans should have died. But yeah, I think it was fun. I did feel like, though, while I was sitting there, two different things. One, why the fuck did they push this back so long? And then two,
COVID. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, and I guess I'll expound on that later when we talk a little bit more about, you know, what's happened since Black Widow's come out.
Right.
But that's my first question. And then my second question was, it is really fucked up that they did a whole movie just to get her to set up her replacement, which is obviously the Florence Pugh, her sister in the movie.
Well, she's dead. You know, I mean, she's already dead, and now she's got a movie coming out. So, I mean, it's, you know.
I don't know. I felt like I guess part of me had hoped that it was far enough up in the timeline that if there were, I mean, like, it is fucked up that you write movies purposely to have 2 and 3 and 4. Like, Thor's had how many fucking movies at this point? Mm-hmm. Right? And then you only write one for Black Widow, and then you write it as a terminal movie in and of itself, and you introduce and like overwrite her sister character in comparison to your own character, who's supposed to be the star of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like a fucking slap in the face.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just, it sucks that, like, I mean, honestly, in reality, her movie should have come out much, much earlier. Like, there should have been a Black Widow to discuss her origin and, like, where she, you know what I mean? Like, and they sort of, like, kind of did in this one, sort of. But, like, you know, they waited so long to do it, even though she is one of the Avengers. Yeah. Right? But she's like a human Avenger. You know, she's like Hawkeye, who's only getting a show, by the way. You know what I mean? And her and Hawkeye are sort of the little team on the side of the Avengers. Because when you think of the Avengers, you don't think of them. I'm sorry, but you just don't.
Excuse me, I do.
You think of Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yes.
As being actual Avengers, like.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't.
Like,
I
what?
don't. I think of Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, and Iron Man. And that's,
I'm sorry, but
those like, 4
Hawkeye
are all you really need.
And Black Widow are
those
exceptional human beings. Like, you act like Hawkeye ain't doing nothing but like shooting guns. Like,
No,
Hawkeye
he's not
is-
even shooting
first
guns.
of all-
He's shooting arrows.
First of all, can we
Arrows.
take this back to DC for just a moment? Like, compare the skill of a Hawkeye to a Batman. Come on. Hawkeye is exceptional.
It's Green Archer.
He's
Is the
exceptional.
alternate. And and
and
he's
that
way better.
motherfucker's in Justice League. So if that motherfucker can be in Justice League, then Hawkeye can be
Because they have a whole
in
league.
the Avengers.
There's like 100 people in the fucking.
I didn't know if you clearly don't know, but like after Avengers in really small letters, it says League. Same.
Avengers
Same.
League.
Same.
Only when they were fighting Thanos did they have anywhere near the size of the Justice League. Once Doctor Strange got everybody there, that was the Avengers League. Okay.
Just so it's clear, I do not agree with Brent. Black Widow and Hawkeye are members. They are exceptional. End of story.
No,
So
they're the SHIELD agents trying to keep them in line, and that's it. That's all it is.
That's it. That's all.
They're just humans with no powers.
You know what else the
At all.
movie made me want to? The next season of Stranger Things. Where the fuck are you? We need you.
I know,
We
right?
really need you. Like I miss Stranger Things so
it's so
much, and
good.
it's been I killed
yeah.
season 3. I've watched
he
season
was-
3 way too many times, and I can't watch it again.
I want to watch it again.
I can't watch it again for a while. I can't. I've watched it way too many times because I watched it a couple times without
music,
you.
like-
And it's so easy to watch because there's only like 6 episodes, and it just flows
flows.
into each other, and it's like
like
you're watching a movie.
Yeah, dude. Like seriously, that is so true. Like it really is. Like if somebody could just like make that a movie, like you just cut off the like little endings and beginnings, just put it all together,
I
make it
feel
a
like
movie.
is Stranger Things on the summer bucket list? I feel like we were getting it like every summer we got like every summer for 3 years.
I know, and then we got
it spoiled
spoiled.
us. And so now every summer it feels like we should be watching Stranger Things.
And now we're fucked. Now
I
we're
think it's coming
fucked.
back soon. But
But,
yeah, seeing
no,
Dave
that-
Harbour play like an actual Russian when he's supposed to be in Russia in Stranger Things made me want it more.
Oh, and what's his name?
David Harbour.
David Harbour.
Yeah.
Oh, he was my favorite part of Black Widow. By
was
the way,
very
he
good.
was so funny.
Mine was
How
Yelena.
self-involved.
Yours was him. And nobody's favorite was Black Widow. It's fucking messed
Yeah,
up.
that is kind of fucked because you're right. They didn't write her. They didn't, they kind of left her by the wayside when they were writing that movie. It's like, whatever. She's had like 17 movies already. Yeah, okay, fuck. We need these characters to be central.
They were like, hey, Black Widow, hey. We know that we have used you as a convenient plot point throughout this entire series. And we understand that you are an Avenger and all. But what we're going to need you to do, now that you're actually officially dead, is to also come on back and introduce your sister, because we just think it would be a good idea for you to introduce her to the world. And then you're going to be dead in the universe forever.
Kabloom. And then it's done.
Anyway.
And you don't get any sequels.
Nothing.
You're
Like
dead.
you're dead.
Unless
dead.
we just go back in the past or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
So I found out some interesting trivia about this movie this week. Do you want to hear it?
Really? Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So there is a scene in the beginning where we see young, I forgot what her name was too.
The sister?
No, actually, Natasha. Yes.
Oh, young Natasha.
We see, I'm like, Black Widow.
Romana.
We see like young Natasha and young Yelena, and I think Natasha's probably like, what would you say, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah, I would say.
So it turns out the young actor that's playing that part is some other famous woman actor's daughter.
It's a famous actor's daughter.
Yes.
Got
And
it.
so remember this actor, like remember the scene, she had like blue hair. She had like blonde, but then she had blue tips because she clearly had blue hair that was growing out. And do you remember her face at all? Because it's so funny because I looked at her when I was watching the movie and I was like, gosh, she has a very familiar face, but I don't know why. But I just moved on with my life.
I'm picturing the face, but I can't, I couldn't,
Okay, get
not
this
enough
shit.
to be able to say who her parents are.
Get this shit. Her mom
Yeah.
is Mila Jovovich.
No, really?
Yeah.
That's too funny.
And then I was like, yep, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a Mila Jovovich face. That's what that was. That's what that was looking back at me while I was looking at it.
And
That's
this is the exact type of movie that Mila Jovovich's like daughter should be in.
Yes.
Like, I'm just saying.
It's like passing the torch.
Yeah.
It's like the new, here's Black Widow, who's, I guess at this point, no use to us because she's like past 35. And then here's Yelena, our new like teenage / early 20s star. And then here's a child, literally.
Spilling like, shit now.
Woo! Sorry. So this brings us to the news that we found out after Black Widow was released, that Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney because apparently she didn't get any part of streaming.
Yeah, which was
wild to me.
What the hell?
Wild because that brings me back to my initial feeling of like, why the fuck did they push this back so far? Yeah. Because in my opinion, remember Black Widow was supposed to come out last summer. Mm-hmm. May of last year, May of 2020.
Right. And
it kept being pushed back, even though they were already using Disney Plus to release some other films with premium access. So I assumed, that one or two things was going on. Either the contracts made it impossible for them to release it on Disney Plus, or they had made a decision that this movie was so bomb that we just cannot release it on Disney Plus. We want to make as much money as we possibly can because this movie is just that good that if we, open it in theaters, it's going to get people in there and it's going to make good money. Yeah. But it turns out it was just like, maybe neither one of those things. I mean, maybe it was a little bit of the like, we got to wait until COVID dies down. But as soon as COVID died down, they had no conversation about how they were going to recoup their actors from devastated box offices from COVID. That seems insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of business practice is that? Because it made sense when Warner Brothers did it for Wonder Woman 84 because they just paid people. Like they paid Gal Gadot $10,000. They paid Patty Jenkins $10,000. Like basically all the people who really would have probably sued them because it was being released simultaneously in theaters and the cinema. They went ahead and just paid those people. Right. And so it's very interesting to me that Disney was like, okay, we see you, 20th Century Fox, and we're going to, or is that Fox? Who is that? No, that's Warner Brothers. That's Warner Brothers.
Oh, for what?
For HBO Max.
Oh, yeah.
And Wonder Woman and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we see you, and we're going to just ignore Scarlett Johansson completely. And that is just like, you must have the best lawyers ever.
Right.
If you feel this confident about it. Because apparently, there's rumors that Emma Stone is considering it too, because apparently she didn't get a cut of any of the streaming for Cruella either. And that was even farther. That was even a few months ago. So even before, Biden and everybody was pushing for everybody to be outside by July 4th or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And it makes sense. I mean, to me, at first, I was like, what the fuck, Scarlett Johansson? What are you even doing, dude?
That's such a weird reaction to have to rich people's business, but okay.
Like, why are you going up against... No, my first initial thought was, are you really going against Disney? Are you really doing this?
Again, rich people business.
Like, Disney has, like, got...
Scarlett Johansson is worth,
probably
like...
$200
million. Seriously.
But
she's her own company
and they're worth
herself.
Billions. So, I mean, she's still... It's a David and Goliath fight.
We're about to see.
Yeah. But at the same time, so, like, because they probably got 200 lawyers for every one of hers. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be tough. But at the same time... It doesn't really matter how many good lawyers you have if your contract stated certain things. Mm-hmm. You can try to make arguments all day long, but if the words on the page say what they say, and they say that you have a contract that says that you get the reason that you get box office money, and that's how you get your money, is because it's released only to the box office. And if you tried and you had your lawyers, once you realize, oh, COVID's going on, and like, these things, okay, let my lawyers say, go ahead and send them a thing to say, hey, let's renegotiate. And you don't do shit about that. You don't say anything. You just ignore her. I feel like they got a much better argument than Disney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like those lawyers say, hey, like, we tried to renegotiate to get some of the streaming service as far as like money goes, like, because they're charging on the streaming service per ticket.
Yeah.
Multiple people can look at it, right? Because it's in your house, so it's not like you're buying per person in the theater. So you got to take that into account. But still,
it's $30.
It's $30, right?
It's a good amount.
Or I thought it was 20.
It's 30.
It's 30. Holy shit.
Premier access is 30.
Oh my god. Okay. But still, and she needs to get a cut of that. That is the way people are viewing the product that she helped. She is the main provider of the content that people are paying for. So I think she's got a much better argument than Disney does. Disney, you would think, would be better at negotiating contracts at this point, being as like, except that I guess they just are like, yeah, we're so big and huge, so we can do whatever we want.
I just think it's wild that, because who knows? I don't know. We'll see how this all plays out. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think the underlying issue here is how Wild West it seems these streaming services are right now when it comes to these movies. And and it's like, on the one hand, this is something we've been dealing with for a long time, right? Because movies straight to video on demand or released simultaneously in theaters and on video on demand is not new. It's not COVID created, right? Like, we were doing this before even COVID came. It's just we were usually doing it with sort of indie movies, so no one really cared, because it's like the people who are into the indie movies or the very niche movies, they're gonna want to watch it in their homes as opposed to always going out. And we're getting the amount of cinemas that are willing to show those movies are dwindling as well. So
like the Isle of Dog guy and stuff like that, like the
Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
No, Wes Anderson's always going to be released in the theater. He's like a really, really big.
Oh, he's not indie.
Yeah.
Not,
I mean, okay. I guess he kind of started off that
way,
indie
but
style,
he's not. But he's not actually.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely not. Fair enough, I'm thinking more like a smaller focus feature. Or certain filmmakers that just don't do huge things or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it just depends. Honestly, it just depends on the studio mostly, right? Like
like Drinking Buddies, more like movies like that, like Drinking Buddies or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
but yeah, that seems like something like that. Like the movies that you hate because they never have any stakes.
And they don't. It's just stuff happening, man. Like, it's no point to any of it.
Anyway.
And then it just ends. And you're like, what the fuck happened?
What's killing me in this whole process is the fact that it seems two things have happened. One, actors' contracts haven't been updated to reflect the very real reality of what it could mean for their earnings if a movie did go to video on demand. You would think that they would just have a caveat in there for that.
Right.
Anyway, but I don't know. That's first of all. And then second of all, it seems some of these, companies, the studios, are hell-bent on keeping every single one of those streaming dollars.
And that's what's fucked up.
Like every single last one of those.
Because they're sitting there like, hey, we're losing business because of this too, so... Sorry, but we get all of the streaming dollars straight up, even if they paid specifically to see your movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it makes me question, too.
No.
What's the standing of, like, an AMC theater? Like, why do they not get to sue in this situation? Because I would imagine this is fucking up their bottom line as well. Because you only have so many movie theater. We have 3 to 4 different movie theater chains now at this point. There aren't many. And AMC, I think, is the biggest one. Yeah. And of course they're hurting. So wouldn't they also, you would think that they would be allowed to get a cut of the streaming as well? Because it's like, if you're going to we have exclusive rights to your films, but you're not
they
showing
wouldn't
them
be
exclusively
exclusive.
anymore in our theaters.
That's the
and you're
point,
also putting it on your stream. Like, what? Everybody finna lose money except for the fucking producers at this point, or the production companies at this point, right?
Yeah.
And like the studio, excuse me, that's the word.
And we sort of went through this before, and I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what movie it was.
It was Wonder Woman, 84.
Wonder Woman.
But I'm telling you, but even
that's
so,
right.
okay, this is the hypothetical though. They paid them $10 million, right? Let's say altogether they paid the key principal people that they would be the most concerned about suing. They paid them 25 mil, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the streaming was 100 mil. That's not an adequate cut of that if their contract says I'm supposed to get 20% of ticket sales. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not necessarily adequate even, because the thing is, are they even telling the truth?
Such a hard time giving a shit about anybody saying that they didn't get the 10 mil when they should have gotten.
It's just an interesting issue. It's just an interesting problem that we're watching happen in real time. That's what I think is interesting about it. Is like we're on the cusp of something new that's happening where they're gonna have to do all this like new math and shit to figure out. Like now, all the actors have to come back to the table because they realize, oh, I'll just get back in and I'll be set for life.
Right.
And that's pretty much been the case.
Yeah.
But now it's like that back end ain't looking so good. But that back end didn't disappear. It just went to a different pot, and you don't necessarily have rights to that pot.
Right.
And so now it's about figuring out who has rights to that pot, because making art is not just something that the studio does. Like, it's a whole group of people who have to make money to make art happen. So it's just it's gonna be very interesting to see how that plays out.
It's just funny to me because, like, I totally agree, and everybody needs to get paid what they're owed. Don't get me wrong, but it's just funny.
Contract is a contract.
Exactly.
Is there any more American value than that?
Right. More American. Well, that's part of my problem, right? Okay.
See, what did I do?
Once we get into millions, I'm starting to not give a fuck about your problems.
No,
bro.
of course we don't. But it's just this is the news, man. This is the news. This is the news. And it's also just so
like, I got 1 million less than I wanted, but I got 19. Fuck you. I don't care. Like,
I think too.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Like,
part of the reason we get it, Brent the proletariat. What's interesting too is like I think part of the reason it's so juicy is because we've been with Disney for so long, like whole parts of our lives have been lived through that fucking series of movies, right? And for so long, they had such a clean image of like a good employer who was paying people decently, and like everyone seemed to get along. And it just looks so awful compared to all that drama that happened around Justice League. And pretty much all the DC movies had some level of drama around them, right? Like just some messy shit going on, and it just created this picture of like, oh, Marvel, Disney, they seem to be doing it right. And then to see this happen, it's like
their people.
It's like, oh yeah, they still playing them games. I mean, you don't become the #1 company making all this money off entertainment by being magnanimous in every way. So
and that's pretty much exactly what it is. Like, they have it all, and that's why I'm like, I'm kind of worried for her, because like she's actually right, but she might not win.
I don't care. Do you care?
Well, I'd like what's right to happen. So yeah, I mean, to that degree, but yeah, I mean, she's already getting like millions. I know, and again, like the leftist in me is like, yeah, dude, you already got millions. Can you fucking chill out? But at the same time, they need to be honest about their contracts.
I
want people to be honest.
I'm reading it for the goss. I have no moral fiber of me is really
I need
moved
morality
in any particular way
to be the front and center of this.
Rich people issues. So, that was We Be Nerdin'. Ready to do some type of way?
Yeah, I'm totally psyched.
Let's do it.
Some type of way. Some type of way. Some type of way. Yeah. It's a fucking motherfucker, man. You fucking feel some type of way.
Right, so I think, Nikki, it is your turn
So
to go
it is
first.
some type of way. Oh, it feels so cozy.
It's crazy.
I've
It's
done
been
this
so
in
long. I had to go back and do math to figure out which one of us was first. Because it's been so long. I don't know. I was like, I had to
You
just go to
didn't
an
have to
old
do that.
episode and be like, hold on. Okay, so
And it
hers is that
didn't.
one. So that's 15 episodes since then. It's okay. It's her turn. All right. 15. Make it, all right. So hers, mine. Okay, got it.
Woo! I did not realize amongst all of your titles, continuity director was also one of them.
I could have just gone to the last one and.
Really?
Nah, but I want 15
You didn't have
back.
to even do that. None of this was
And then
necessary.
I did math.
Oh my goodness. So, I think so. For me, I want to talk a little bit about the CRT moral panic that we're all in right now.
Or Kurt,
And-
as we're calling it. You know. It's his voice now.
Fuck that.
Kurt.
I actually kind of like the name Kurt.
I know, that sounds kind of nice.
I don't want to make it into. I don't want to. No.
CRT is not a bad thing, though.
I
Kurt
know, but
is
it's
actually
like-
good.
You know what I mean? Like you, at some point, you start to automatically get the eye roll because you already can see how someone's using it incorrectly. So it starts to become a stand-in for the antipathy you feel towards it, not towards your actual feelings towards the real thing.
Right. Once you say CR, the conservatives' eyes are already rolling. That's why we should call it Kurt. Because then they won't do that. They'll listen about what it actually is.
What I'm not going to do is do this whole like defining what CRT is and whatever. Everybody's been engulfed in the panic. So everyone's read that article. Everyone knows what the reality is that cares anyway, at least about using it in any sort of good faith way. I think the thing that's been so troubling for me through this whole thing, and the thing that was troubling for me when woke went wild, and is still out there just being wild, I think the thing that really concerned me about all of this is just this reality hit you like square in the face of like, these people truly believe that Black people throughout generations, like our parents, have really been telling us that we just like got on ships and came here voluntarily and then just like sold ourselves to someone so we could live in bondage and have all of our children sold and be subject to all manner of terrible human degradation, only to fight our asses off to then be made free just to fight for another 100 or so years just to be treated like actual citizens, like, and then have to like, they truly believe that we just told like Black parents just were cool with that. Like, yeah, we just were like willing slaves and we just were like hanging out and we didn't
Like,
want to
they
be
were just-
free because
Really?
we
That's-
got 3 meals and a cot, and you know, sometimes you can even grow your own vegetables. And then, you know, once you were free, everybody was so in love with their masters that they didn't even leave. They just stayed on the plantations and like worked the land.
I actually
and,
do remember saying that back in my conservative days.
and stayed with their families because it was, I mean, everybody just loved each other because everyone was so nice. And it was a war of northern aggression, and the, you know, like,
But where are you gonna
Confederates
go?
were the good
Like,
guys, and you know, all this, like, they truly believe that. Like, prior to Barack Obama, you thought that Black parents were just like, yeah, we've never had a Black president because we just have seriously low IQs. And so there is no way we could ever possibly rise to the ranks of being the leader of this country. Like, you truly believe an adult told a child that information? like a Black parent told a Black child that information.
We're
like,
just not good at capitalisming. You know?
Like-
shit.
growing up in neighborhoods where people seem to have addiction issues and there's poverty and there's crime. Oh, that's because we're just cursed by Ham. And so that's why we are like this. And that's really all there is to it. Like, I am shocked. It's like, how would we have any self-esteem at all?
Right?
If that's
Jesus.
truly what we learned. Like, yeah, I went to school and I learned about the War of Northern Aggression and states' rights, and then brought my ass home and got set down and was told, well, okay, this is what's really going on, and this is what's really going on. I remember one night I was like, came home and I was like, because at that time Strom Thurmond, I think, was like someone important in the Senate. Yes. And I was like, I'm having trouble right now placing Strom Thurmond and like what he did. But anyway, racist guy, super racist. And I remember being like, I just thought the name sounded good because it was a name I hadn't really heard before. Yeah. And so I just thought it was a striking name. And I was like, Strom Thurmond. And I was explaining something. And I was like, I just think that's an interesting name. And my mom had to be like, okay, let's have a conversation about who Strom Thurmond is.
Let's do a quick behind the bastards.
Clearly your teacher didn't tell you shit. So I'm going to have to tell you right now what Strom Thurmond stands for. Because what you're not going to do is go to this school and act like you don't know who the fuck Strom Thurmond is. And what you're not going to do. So, yeah, like, it's just, it's amazing to me, like, they just assume that we just take the glossing over the myths, the lies, the fabrications, the imaginary shit that has been created to make it seem like Black people are responsible for everything that we are experiencing in this country. But then two, like, we're supposed to actually believe that.
Yeah.
Like, that's fascinating to me.
That they're just great.
Fascinating.
That they're just great people and everything like that. You know
that we're awful people,
and that you're awful,
and we just like everything that happens to us. There's nothing else to explain it except for individual error, and that individual error is 100% because we are just low IQ, high crime people. Yeah. Like, we're just, that's why dust them away.
That's why I think the personal responsibility narrative is so fucking strong on the right? Because they can always paint everything as just, well, that group of people is just worse than this group of people or whatever. You know, like how they do with Asians. You know, they're like, oh, see, this is a good minority, and you know, and that's a bad minority. You know, and it's like they can always do that if their narrative is personal responsibility. First of all, it gets you out of all responsibility of making any type of policy, because policy doesn't affect personal responsibility whatsoever at all. Like, that's the whole point, is that personal responsibility gets you out of having to make policy that recognizes that humans are humans and they're going to do what they're going to do, you know, and if they aren't given the proper resources, they're not going to be able to do what they're supposed to be able to do and things like that. But if you put it all on personal responsibility, you don't have to do any of that shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can just be like, well, they just should have fucking gotten whatever. You know, you can just do whatever.
But I mean, even the personal responsibility argument has its own limitations, because if I can point to you a law that purposely separated the races, and that's not too far back, like what, Hillsborough County wasn't completely segregated schools until the 70s. Yeah. Like, my mom was a teenager. That's not that far. No. That's not that far away.
But that's the thing. They think that everything just appeared to be equal automatically. Boom. As soon as 1964 happened, or 1960,
there was just this great parting of the sea.
The paper was signed, and boom, everything was equal.
All the racists.
Right then.
Went to another part of the water, and
all the races automatically became like cool with everything. Like,
it just was this great party on the sea. Everybody shook hands and like hugged, like
oh man, I didn't see it until just now. Like, but we're equal. Yeah, man, you're right. I didn't even think about it until just now when the paper was signed.
And then you have all of these parent groups, quote unquote, because we're seeing some of these are obviously AstroTurf. They have a ton of dark money behind these groups, and they, like, whole groups of white parents, white educators, white whatever, want to have conversations about, you know, or really it's mostly white leaders, like the Republican leaders of these states and stuff, want to have whole meetings about this shit where Black people can't even be present. And then the few Black people who are there are also being AstroTurfed. So they're like saying stuff like, you know, I don't want white kids to feel guilty. And it's like, but that's not what is happening. That's not what's going on. And
why do we care about
also,
that's not what this is about.
Also, it's just like, it's also just so dumb to me because it's like, do you know what the fuck your kid is learning? Do you know what the fuck your kid's making to be made feel? Like, have you gone through their middle school curriculum and seen the way that their teacher teaches fucking slavery and teaches antebellum stuff and teaches like fucking black codes and stuff? Have you actually saw that? Because you may need to talk to your own kid, like your own black kid, about what they're actually learning and taking in as a student, especially when it comes to some of these like fucking slave activities. Like, it is just so weird how much people want to do role plays around slavery with like really young kids. It's very weird to me. Of all the ways to teach that subject, role play amongst like 12-year-olds doesn't seem like the right way to go.
No, it's not. Don't do that.
12 and 13-year-olds, like, especially when you only have 1 or 2 black kids in the class. Like,
it's a bad day for
let's
everybody.
just not do that shit. It's just weird. It's just fucking weird. But it's just weird to me that there's a moral panic about something that black people are like, well, obviously, we need a way to look at all of our institutions in a way that parcels out race, because that seems to be a metric that matters, and we know that matters because we literally have black people to tell us that it does. And we see it on the paper. It's like right there. Like, it's just like, it's stark. It's right there.
Yeah.
And obviously this exists because we do all this work about school boards and like zones and where's kids. Like, it's literally a crime for kids to go to school they're not zoned to go to. That's how serious this shit is, right? Like, we just do so much to keep whiteness separate. And then all of a sudden it's like a reminder, hey, black people exist, and they absolutely tell their kids something different because what you're telling your kids doesn't even work for your kids, but it absolutely doesn't work for anyone else in this country who doesn't get to have the same experience that your kids do. And so, yeah, they absolutely have to explain to their kids why there's only like one fucking black president, and why, like, when they go to certain places, like if I'm in certain places driving through Georgia, but got to be careful in certain towns or whatever, like this shit, like, it's real.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's a real lived existence.
Well, it's
history matters.
It was just like we were talking, you know, I just did a family thing. We were all talking about how like my aunt had to go to one of the schools. It was during the whole busing thing, like, you know, when they were talking about the kids busing, and it was like, you know, and of course, you know, she went to one of it was I can't remember the name of the school, but it was like a school on the south side, and she was one of the few people, but that's what it took, and it was basically like, put some of your white kids into our schools, and then see how you feel about funding our schools, you know what I mean, sort of thing.
Which is so funny because most black people were just like, we don't need all this. We just want the same funding.
But that's what it took. Which is sad. You know what I'm saying?
We don't need to be in the same classroom.
Because as soon as like those white kids were put in the black schools, the funding all of a sudden just appeared out of nowhere.
It's
crazy.
so wild. It's so wild. It's like and you see that happening in real time, right? Like, the opposition to busing was like, we shouldn't have to be with them at all. And then you have black people being like, we get it, you hate us, but we really need money, so can we just get money? If you don't want to come over here, that's fine. Just give us the money and give us the teachers, and we're all set. Like, we will figure it the fuck out. Which is very evident when you look at HB, you know, historically black universities, colleges and universities.
Fuck yeah.
And the roads that they were able to pave for black professionals, and like, it's incredible the work that was able to be done.
Yeah, it's crazy when you have the resources, you're actually able to accomplish things. It's crazy. It's almost like,
it's a wild
I don't
thing.
even know how that
It's
works.
a wild thing. And it's also, it's just like, and if those same folks had believed this whole time, like, oh, I'm just low IQ and I'm meant to be a slave out on this, you know, I need to just be taken care of by my white master, because without him I just don't know how to live, and I don't know how to take care of myself, and I just, oh my god, yeah, I am a wilting flower, oh no, I'm a victim. Like, that's just so antithetical to our story. It just doesn't make sense when you and these are the same people who claim to be like, an MLK, that's my inspiration, he was about color blindness. Like, what are you talking about?
Have you listened to more than 3 quotes? Have you heard more than 3 quotes? I just need you to...
It just
Jesus.
feels so awful it's like so bad. It's so bad. And you don't even know where to start. But I'm heartened to see some people finally get it. Of like, oh, none of this is actually real. This is all just fear.
Yeah.
This is fear of the truth. This is fear of reality. This is fear of understanding that I think it's a Du Bois quote. I'm gonna fuck it up, but something like it's either Du Bois or a Baldwin quote. I'm sorry, y'all, but one of white people's like biggest fear is to be written by someone else. So like if you have to start to actually pay attention and read the words and actually hear how other people that you have subjugated actually see this, see what's happening around you. It's terrifying. It's awful. It's too much.
Because you end up just looking like a fucking, as your entire culture just ends up looking like a bunch of fucking Vikings that just pillaged and plundered the planet.
And then from that point, and I feel this too, because at the end of the day, I'm an American. So I get the handy dandy benefits. I get that passport. That's good. A shit ton of places around the world. I get that extra accommodation. I get all those same privileges. And it doesn't sit well with me either. Yeah. Like I get it. It's tough. It's tough being an American. It's tough living right now, having access to all this information that definitely calls balls and strikes about what's fucked up and what's continuing to fuck up. But at the end of the day, you know what your morals are. Like, you know where they are. And at the end of the day, if they're not supporting everyone being free, then what the fuck is it for?
What's the point?
What the fuck is it for? Like
yeah.
I don't know. What the fuck is it for? I don't need an in-group and out-group. I don't need any more of that. We don't need a privileged class and a non-privileged class. We don't need that. We literally have that with the monarchy. We had that. Left that. Terrible for us. Awful for us.
Most of the time, that's the fallacy that people are using. Like, but I want to be free. No. Just me. I want to be free, to do what I want to do, and it's like their brain can't like comprehend like, okay, but like this is law. So like it applies to everybody. And so everybody has to be, no, I want to be free just to do what I want to do, even if it tramples on what other people do. I don't care. I want to be, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's like the way they think.
And not dealing with that age-old question that, you and I always talk about. It's like, if everyone suddenly chose to do that shit,
what would the world look like? Right.
Would you make it? Probably not. Nope. Probably not.
Nope.
And I think that's actually a great segue to your Some Type of Way. So I guess just to wrap up mine, like, Black people don't tell their kids all these really terrible things that you seem to just be okay with telling your kids, or even not saying to your kids, just letting your kids pick that shit up from, the myriad ways we get cues on who is above who in our shitty social system. But it's, it's fucked up. Read a book. Like, watch some PBS documentaries or something. Yeah. Like, watch Roots. Didn't everybody have to watch Roots? Like, Roots, I feels like gets to it. Yeah, pretty well. So right. I don't know. Like,
I need to watch Roots. I actually haven't seen that yet.
I mean, come on.
Been working up to it, but
Mississippi Burning. It's on
Exterminate.
It's on HBO Max right now.
Watch
Mississippi Burning.
And I Am Not Your
Negro. Yes, I Am Not Your Negro.
That's a
documentary.
Should definitely check that out as well.
James Baldwin.
All kids need to see that stuff.
And any Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison, honestly.
Really?
Like, it just...
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful texts explaining this experience. Treat yourself.
Right.
Like, and I think that's another thing, too, is like everyone always thinks it's so depressing. And it's like, oh my God, Black culture is so beautiful. Oh my God, in so many different ways.
There's so many good things in between the terrible.
Yes, and pain is fucking terrible, but pain also can create some amazing art. And you're not even letting yourself partake in that. And it's just so, my God, live a life. Live a life.
All good art
sound
comes
terrible
out of
now.
pain.
I'm an elitist bitch. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
I love it. Okay, I think it's great. So my some type of way is so all right, I need to break this down. I love punk rock. That's like one of my favorite. It's my favorite kind of music, and it's not just a kind of music. It's a subculture. It has all these things to it. You know what I mean? And it's just fun, right? And I kind of am. And it's funny because like punk has all these like you can tell the different type of style of punk based upon the timeline, right? So like different times of punk, there is a different style, right? And so my style, the kind that I really like is like the 90s, right? And it was still before it became very commercialized and things like that, where it was just sort of talking about nothing or acting like you're children. I don't know. I mean Blink-182 when they were like with their First Kiss song, like can't wait till your parents go out of town or whatever. I'm just like, you're fucking 30, dude. What are you talking about? And I get that maybe they're talking about like from the perspective of the kid, but it's still fucking weird. It's still fucking weird. Anyway, so before Blink-182 really hit the scene, Blink-182 themselves were listening to bands like NoFX, Rancid, Pennywise, and all these actual punk rock bands, right? And so like most of what the music was about fighting injustice and doing whatever you could to be offensive to the people that were trying to that were promoting conservative, like very authoritarian concepts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of weird lately. I'm in these different punk rock groups on Facebook, and it's crazy to me the amount of people, and we get Trumpers in these groups. And I'm like, how could you possibly think that this like aligns, with anybody else's ideals that are in this group? You know what I mean? How can you think this stuff? This is crazy. But they're like, everybody, it's getting offended, and that's like why it's you guys are just getting offended about me being awful. You're just being awful, and you're offending people. And it's like, that's not what punk was ever about. You know what I mean? It was about offending people, don't get me wrong, but offending the right people. It wasn't about offending just everybody.
And for a reason.
For no fucking reason. Like, I'm just going to say whatever pisses this person off, saying whatever. No, we were offending a very specific group of people for a very specific fucking reason. I mean, Bad Religion, has the crossbuster, and that's offensive to Christians. I mean, it's the Christian cross circled and crossed out, like the Ghostbusters, why we call it the Crossbusters. And, it's stuff like that, because Christians are oppressive. They have power, and they use it to oppress people. And so that's why we try to offend them. Okay? And it's just crazy to me that they are like, they're confusing the tactic for the message, because the message is equality, and like, hey man, we all should be treated equally under the law. It was the whole movement, if we went back even before the time that I started listening to it, was started by like trans folks that were playing music and stuff. Hedwig, and just all these things that were like very LGBTQIA plus, like it was just very in support of those movements. Like, that's who started it.
Homeless kids,
right? Who were usually kicked out for reasons like that. You know what I mean? So like, and
by their Christian parents,
like kicked them out for being gay or having too many gay friends, even, or whatever. Just like being like, hey, it's cool that I am, not cool and hanging out with all the gay kids or whatever, like that. Yeah. Counterculture culture, like that was the whole point. And so it's just driving me nuts that these fucking these people, they think like anarchy and stuff like this, like, is libertarianism or stuff like that, when that's I mean, like that kind of libertarian anarchism is such an untenable concept in and of itself.
I think it comes back down to that. I'm free. I have to be free, and I want to be free to do all of these destructive, awful things. But anyone else that wants to do that, you don't have the privilege to do that. And when you're like, but why? Like the Anglo-Saxons and such. That's why.
Right. Yeah.
It makes no sense
and
whatsoever.
And it just ends up being like, everybody just wanting to think they can offend each other, and they should be allowed to do that. And they're punks, so they'll get over it. Like that. No, that's not the way any of this fucking works, man. If you say something shitty, we're actually all probably going to turn on you. Yeah. And it's the crazy thing is like, so a lot of the groups are from like the Fat Records groups, which is like a started by NoFX, who literally, he's a cross-dresser. He gets up on stage, wears a dress while he's playing in the band, and they're like saying homophobic shit and stuff that's like very misogynistic and just douchey shit, and I'm like, what are you in this group for? How did you get here? How did you get here? Like, what are you doing? But and so it's just been really, really frustrating to see kind of the mutation, I would say, of punk in these groups, and it becoming this thing that just means that you can just be a dick, which is very much MAGA, just being a dick, and that's not at all what this, what the entire subculture is about, or the counterculture, I should say.
I think to never underestimate how much people are not listening to or comprehending the lyrics in music.
They couldn't be, it's like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's some bands and stuff that like sing songs about like, I'm free, it's I am my own country and stuff like that, like I'm just, I'm free, whatever. And it's like, I get that, but like, I think but to use that to be like, I get to do whatever I want and fuck all of you is just insane to me. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, hey, we're all supposed to be like cool with each other. Like, we're literally in a group that says we're all cool with each other, right? And then they're being there trying to piss people off. And they're like, but that's what punk is. And I'm like, no, the fuck it's not, dude. Like, again, you're mistaking the tactic for like the message. Like, we use that tactic for a very specific purpose.
They don't have a message,
and there is no message.
Just playing on the internet.
It's just trolling.
That's it.
And it's like, dude, no, just trolling literally everybody means you're actually trolling nobody and just being a dick. Like, you're, you know what I mean? The whole point.
And that's what's so funny. They really do think they're pissing you off, and you're just like, we're trying to help you out because the vibe here is not this at all. So We're trying to let you know that this isn't the right vibe and you should go find a different vibe.
Right. Because just pissing everybody off is just nothing. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like,
I'm not angry because you blocked me.
Exactly. We just all see you as a fucking angry toddler that doesn't know how to think. Like, that's what we're doing. Because, like, that was one of the main things that, like, made me really want to get into and be able to understand politics was a lot of the music that I was listening to. And it's been so gratifying to be able to remember the lyrics and know the lyrics of a lot of the songs that I like. And actually now, within the past 5-6 years, have actually been able to understand them, after becoming like, deconverting and whatnot and coming out of that very bubbled in Christianity. And now it's so gratifying because I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Because the more I learn about politics, the more the lyrics of like NoFX and Bad Religion and a lot of these bands, like, they make a lot more sense.
Is it possible you take this so personally because you were almost one of these middle-aged punkers?
I probably would have been. Yeah.
I learned it from you.
Yeah, I learned it from you, Dad.
So it's like you're just, you don't gotta be this way, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm the cigarette smoker that quit smoking that hates fucking smokers. That's exactly what is happening. But yeah, that was my
Brent
some
projecting
type
all
of-
over the place.
I am. That's all I know how to
Nah,
do.
I feel you, babe. That would be super fucking annoying. Middle-aged punkers, man. Figure your shit out.
And it's funny
Listen
too.
to the damn lyrics.
Right? God damn it! Like,
Read them.
and if the
Read them
lyrics
somewhere.
you know, yeah, exactly. So frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely my some type of way. But thank y'all for listening. Holy shit.
Yes.
If you're listening on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. If you want to email us, the email is unapologetics666@gmail.com. Please follow us on Facebook. My name is Brent Lee. If you want to catch up with us on Twitter, it's at Brent Lee Allen 1 on Twitter. And yeah, please, on Patreon, you just please give us a listen. We actually have a new patron.
Becky, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Holy
That was
shit.
fucking awesome.
great.
And also, patrons, you're going to get this episode this week, but also we're going to release like kind of headlines and opening banter that we did, and we're like, we don't love this, but it wasn't bad.
Right. Yeah, it
we
was
just switched to directions that we wanted to talk about stuff with. So you're going to get a more expanded conversation on CRT, as well as a little conversation about Cuba and some Florida news. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's coming to Patreon on
become a
Patreon.
patron. And if you're a patron over $5, I will write you a song. And I think I have 2 folks left to write songs for, and I'm working on them right now currently. But it's a punk song just for you. That's why you should become a patron. So patreon.com/unapologetics, spelled like the show.
Because punk is passion here.
That's right.
We're
And I'm
passionate
talking
about
real
punk.
punk, not this conservative bullshit.
Not this Blink 182 stuff, which that was so much shade. You started your whole some type of way doing nothing but shitting on Blink 182.
Dude, Blink 182 used to be fucking awesome. Like, they were like in my top 5 bands, you know, and then Enema of the State came out, and
You
all the
admit this
small
shit to the
things came
world.
out, and then everybody started
You admit
listening
it.
to it, and then nobody understood what anything was about anymore.
Blink 182 has never and should have never been in anyone's top 5. I'm sorry.
You haven't heard the first album. Anyway, I'll get you. I'm going to show you some of the.
There's a
old
deep
school.
cut. Anywho, thank you so much. This was fun. Miss this for real. This is awesome.
Good, I'm glad.
So everybody have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. So what do we say to the haters, discriminators, and masturbator shamers?
Fuck off.